So, last season, did they kind of sit you down and say, you're going to die, but not really, it's all okay? Did they talk you through like the whole journey?
They actually did. They did me a real kindness on that. I think I had shot episode 4 when I first came in. I think I had shot episode 5. And, no, I had done 4, 5, 6. And then they came to me and they were like, so you're going to die. And I was like, great, cool. And he was like, but. And so that was early on. They laid it out for me. So I knew that it was coming, and I knew when it was going to be, episode 18, and I was going to be gone. And luckily I knew I was going to come back. So all of that. So I had to kind of, do that for months and months and months, kind of. I don't know.
Did people say to you, oh my, you're gone, you're off the show? Did people think you were?
Yeah, people thought I was, a lot of people did think I was like completely done. People, even friends of mine were like, hey, you had a great run on that, like that's great, like, wish you the best of luck for the next thing. I was like, yeah, me too, thanks.
Todd was telling us earlier that they're going to focus on your detective side this season.
Yes.
Is that something
I'm
you're
so
excited
glad he said that to you too.
Yeah, so you don't have to spoil it, right?
No, because it's something that I've been, did you have a question specifically about that?
Just wanted to know what you thought about it, like looking forward to it, what can you tell us?
That was probably the first thing that I started talking to them about. I did grow up reading comics, so I had some familiarity with Ralph. Not a ton of familiarity, but I knew who Elongated Man was and stuff. He's, not super well known, but I grew up reading Infinity War, and I read an Identity Crisis, so like I knew that super dark. That is Identity Crisis, isn't it?
Yeah.
With Sue and everything, the super dark one that we'll like never get to do, obviously. Oh, thank you very much. But that's something that I pushed them from the beginning. I was like, can we do that? Can we do that? And they're like, yeah, that's great, but we had to start him where he was. And they explained this to me. Todd was like, let's put the starting line for Ralph way back here. And I was like, yeah, but why? And he's like, so that we have all this room to go to.
So he stretches.
Yeah. And my job here is done. Sorry. But that's, another thing that came in early was people kept saying to me, like, what about Sue? What about Sue? What about Sue? And if we had started there, where are we going to go with it? So we gave ourselves a lot of rope to play with, and hopefully not hang ourselves with.
Now that you do have more room to play as a regular, are there new dynamics popping up for Ralph? Like we heard that he's going to help Caitlin, maybe?
There's going to be a lot of Ralph and Caitlin and developing that relationship, which I think is a really fun one because I feel like from Ralph first coming on, they always kind of got along. And I'm sure that's because I know Danielle in real life and get along with her very well, but they never really butted heads or anything. She always had compassion towards him, so I think they have a really cool, and people always thought it was going to be a romance, because every year Caitlin dates the new white guy on the show.
Yeah. We know.
Yeah, and immediately all of us talked about that, and we're like, no.
That's so refreshing to hear that.
She put the kibosh on it quicker than anybody. She was like, I've known her for 7 or 8 years. So she was like, no. She's like, I'm not doing that. And I think it would not have been a good choice. Like, I think it's really cool that they're just kind of like a little friendly, and we're going to develop that more. I think she cares about him, and he cares about her, but in that platonic way. And also the Cisco and Ralph stuff, which I'm sure you've heard about. There's going to be a lot to mine there, with the two of them being single men. Cisco's single, his heart's broken. Ralph's single, so let's go see what's out on the town. Yeah.
Very important question. When it comes to Ralph's nose ring, is that pure CGI, or do you have kind of a process that you do that then adds to the CGI?
I will never tell. I will never tell. One day I'll tell you. But for now, we'll leave that a mystery.
Last season, Ralph saw a lot of personal growth.
Yeah.
Being a superhero. How are we going to see that continue next season?
I think he's trying to now really find his place in the team and where he really fits in with the team now that he has more responsibility because he's been shepherded in this way to becoming a hero through Barry's tutelage and all of that. So I think it's, he's sort of like, I don't think I told you guys, I said this over there, last season for me was I always had it painted in my brain that it was the redemption of Ralph Dibney. Like that was like the theme for me of the character, was his redemption going from here, coming back to being sort of like boy to man in a way, like, or man boy to man, And I think now that he's really, more mature and adult, and he's still him and he's still very Ralph, it's him figuring out how this fits into his life and how he fits into the team and what he can bring to the table.
As an actor, when you're going from season to season and you're
already very comfortable in your character's skin. How do you make it different? How do you make it fresh for the new season?
I think it's just that funny thing of being on TV that makes it so different from movies, where I'm a different person than I was a year ago. And I think experiencing that, and obviously, having a hell of a ride in the last year, meeting this whole team and this cast, and they're alarmingly easy to work with. They really are. That was one of the first things I noticed. They were all very, very welcoming. And I know you're supposed to say that, but it's true. It was just right away, I was like, this is awesome. These people are really, really great. And I think now that I've been around so much, I think that just changes it in subtle ways with the way you play off of each other. And we're all growing up together, and this cast has grown up together in a sense. A lot of them were in their early 20s when they started, so that's a big thing to go through. And I think now that people are getting older, it'll influence the work and the dynamics and all of that.
Dibney has always reminded me of Jim Carrey in The Mask.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Do you take inspiration from any comedians or really physical actors, or is it just kind of your own style?
I mean, it's definitely my own style. I think there's no way that I can escape the comparisons. I mean, look, I grew up on John Candy and Robin Williams and Jim Carrey, and these were guys that I really looked up to when I was growing up and found hilarious. I mean, I think those are some of the greatest actors, honestly, of the last 20, 30 years. But for me, the Jim Carrey thing is, ever since I was a kid, I got that comparison. I mean, I look like I could be related to him. I think that's fair to say. I think I'll never escape that, because I sort of look like I could be his nephew or something, or as this or as that. So anytime I do something and I have I have a rubber face, so there's kind of no way to get around that. But I definitely took inspiration from that, in the sense that Ralph is like a walking Tex Avery cartoon, which is what The Mask is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he has to be. And that's what we did to make him different than anything that we've had on Flash, that we've had on the show.